parents.
This teenager is in for a big surprise.
We want you to have a talk. Here.
His parents have dragged him here under false pretenses to meet their friend.
They'll be back.
I don't understand. Why am I here? What do you want from me?
A counselor who believes the power of prayer can change anything.
I understand that homosexuality is a struggle. Together, we can pray the gay away.
It's controversial. People feel strongly about it.
Thank you, everyone.
The controversy has even made its way into presidential politics.
My husband, Dr. Marcus Bachmann.
A clinic owned by Congresswoman Michelle Bachmann and her husband was accused of practicing something called reparative therapy.
I think it's possibly both for you.
He could cure your homosexuality?
Yes.
Is that what he said?
Yes, he did.
Now, Marcus Bachmann has denied that, but he says if people want help, his therapist will talk with them about it.
Please, I don't want to pray it away.
So what would you do if you were confronted with this?
You're not going to help me, okay? I don't need your help.
We're about to break it. Our hidden cameras are set up at Stack's Pancake House in Paramus, New Jersey. Normally, the pancakes take center stage at this restaurant, but not today.
They'll come back.
Just order something.
Why are you leaving?
So we can have a little talk.
It's an awkward introduction.
Your parents think you're gay.
My parents think I'm gay. Oh my gosh.
We were built for procreation, Aries.
This Muslim family within earshot is getting an earful.
My sexuality isn't your business or anybody else's but mine.
This mother can't help but listen in.
It's as simple as making a choice. You've chosen to be gay. You can choose not to be.
You want me to pray away being gay?
Almost 20 minutes go by and we begin to wonder, will anybody say anything? We tell our teen to excuse himself.
You don't have to be here when I get back.
I'll be right here. It is hard. I'm just a facilitator.
The woman seems to be siding with the counselor.
Because they want him unsecure, they want him to have a family and kids in the future. They want to see their grandchildren. Everybody wants to see that. We'll try our best to make him a better human being. We'll do everything because when they grow, they understand that we are doing the best for them. They're not going to understand now, but they will later.
And then her husband jumps in with his own theory about our teen's sexuality.
It's very difficult to take it out of them, but he was dumped by his girlfriend or something like that. Kids do that.
We decide it's time to step in.
I'm John Quinones.
You're going to pay the bill, though.
Gays will tell you that they're born that way.
No such thing. No such thing as this. They born from X and Y. They didn't come from X and X to be saying that this is just an excuse.
Turns out there's a generational difference of opinion at this table.
You understand how your father feels?
Yeah. I live with him, so you're born with it. It's not his choice. So, like, there's really nothing you can do about it.
I disagree totally about it. I think the more you pray, the more you practice your religion, it just makes your thinking different.
It's a psychological problem.
And you think it can be changed?
It can be changed, yes.
We start rolling again, and our counselor is back at it.
Homosexuality is not a natural path for a man or a woman to be living. I can help you with that problem.
You know what, I'm going to go to the bathroom myself, okay? Excuse me.
He just doesn't understand, but he will.
This woman at the next table has heard enough.
But he's gay, and his parents are very concerned for him.
The man is gay. There's nothing wrong with it. That's the problem. You think there is. Leave the man alone. You're going to destroy him.
We can pray this away together with the help of the community.
He's just as godly as anybody else. He's just as godly as anybody that's heterosexual.
Peter is in for it now.
How is giving him love and guidance going to destroy him?
That's not love and guidance.
You understand, sir, don't you?
I'll stay out of it. No more stuff.
But there is a lot more. Time to tell her it's all part of what would you do.
What was going through your mind? Yeah. You okay? I'm sorry. But you had to speak up, huh? What were you thinking?
Can you imagine the turmoil? It's hard enough being 16, especially in this world right now. And to have somebody tell you that there's something wrong with you, how does that fix somebody?
Well, I'm religious. I mean, look, you know, I have a cross on, yet that's wrong. You have a right to be whatever your sexual orientation is, and no one can make you gay or heterosexual, and you can't pray it away, you can't wish it away. It's whatever you are inside.
Not every diner is so passionate in their response, while some speak up almost immediately.
You destroy that young man.
Others just don't know what to say.
I just want to go home.
Even when our teenager sobs alone for several minutes.
You know, we wanted to be there for him, you know, tell him to be himself and, you know, don't listen to these guys, you know.
What kept you from saying that?
You know, I don't know.
We try it once more, and this time we get a reaction no one saw coming.
We just wanted you to talk to Peter, just briefly. We're not going to be terrible.
You go ahead.
This man is immediately watching things play out from behind his sunglasses.
They want me to help you with your problem.
What problem? What problem?
Your homosexuality.
My what?
The man can't turn away.
I think it's obvious that you struggle with homosexuality.
How is it obvious that I struggle with homosexuality?
I think your parents are bright people and they...
And now the man is really getting worked up.
What?
Kid, if you want to come sit with us and get away from this bathroom, come over.
I don't even know who he is.
My name is Bill. It's nice to meet you.
Hi. My parents just dropped me off here. Literally, I thought I was having breakfast with
I think your
them.
parents are the ones that are confused.
I don't think anyone's confused. I think it's two loving parents who just want to help their son who's troubled.
You've got that amazingly calm computer that says serial killer, right?
He's heard enough.
He's scared, and you are having a hand in doing that.
Homosexuality is an alienating disease.
Disease.
Their pancakes may be cold, but the man is on fire.
I want you to take a look across the table. This child. Look at him. Scared, terrified, alienated. Really? This is the best way you can do it?
This is what homosexuality does to a person.
Really? No, this is what some creepy dude in a sweater vest husband did. Telling him that he's wrong and broken.
He's now at the edge of his patience.
You don't think we can fix it?
No, I'm saying he's not broken!
I'm John Quinones with ABC News.
Oh. Come here.
We're trying to shout
You are absolutely fantastic, and you almost died.
I mean, you spoke up right away.
What was going on there was just fundamentally wrong. There's nothing wrong with being gay, and if somebody's telling you you're wrong, they're out of their minds.
What is your message to young men and women who are gay and who are being told it's wrong?
Your parents might be confused. You aren't. And the world's coming around to that.
On this day, that seemed to be the consensus. Only one couple sided with our counselor.
They born from X and Y. They didn't come from X and X.
The rest told us no amount of prayer can change a person's sexuality. To quote Lady Gaga, folks are just born that way.
I could not be prouder of the work that we've done on behalf of the LGBT community. It's no secret that progress has been incredibly difficult. It's about our capacity to love and commit to one another. It's about whether or not we value as a society that love and commitment. It's about our common humanity and our willingness to walk in someone else's shoes. To imagine worrying about a spouse in the hospital with the added fear that you'll have to produce a legal document just to comfort the person you love. To imagine the pain of losing a partner of decades and then discovering that the law treats you like a stranger. We still have a long way to go, but we will get there. My expectation is that when you look back on these years, you will see a time in which we put a stop to discrimination against gays and lesbians. You will see a time in which we as a nation finally recognize relationships between two men or two women as just as real and admirable as relationships between a man and a woman. You will see a nation that's valuing and cherishing these families as we build a more perfect union. Where no matter what you look like or where you come from or who you love, you can dream big dreams.
love being home in this place where Ann and I were raised, where both of us were born. Ann was born at Henry Ford Hospital. I was born at Harper Hospital. No one's ever asked to see my birth certificate. They know that this is the place that we were born and raised.
All I want to do is see this guy's birth certificate.
Not an American citizen. He is not a loyal American. He is anti-American.
I don't think he was born in America.
Is a citizen at all? Yes. He's probably an illegal alien.
Do you think the president is an American citizen?
No, absolutely not.
Where do you think he was born?
Kenya, of course.
It's a very strange and, in some respects, foreign to the American experience type of philosophy.
Of course, he's a Kenya boy.
You never liked the president, did you? Never, and never will. One thing, his name's Obama.
He is an avowed Muslim.
Tied with Arabs and all that, and he's black.
We think the Muslims are moving in and taking over.
This is America. Our president should be American, not Muslim.
I think he's a Muslim.
I think he's a Muslim.
The president's job is not to go around the world shaking hands with the terrorists.
And his willingness to bow down to Islam, bow down to the Saudi king, using the Justice Department and our military to help form a global caliphate.
I think he's a one-man terrorist cell.
He's a terrorist?
He's got the bloodline.
Can't trust him. How do we know?
I just don't think the president, by his comments, suggests an understanding of what it is that makes America such a unique nation.
They're taking our liberties away. It's tyranny. It's a Gestapo-type tactic.
Because of what this monster has done to this country.
He should be tried for treason.
Obama, a cult, is trying to destroy us.
He should be brought to trial, and he should be put in jail.
That's the right course for this country. His course is extraordinarily foreign.
Those people want to kill my children.
I'm so scared being in the United States today.
It's the professors, 30,000, 40,000 of them. They're like termites that have worked into the woodwork of our academic society.
That's the problem. You got a bunch of professors in these dang colleges that are teaching the children lies.
He's going after our kids and try to indoctrinate them.
Everybody in my school is brainwashed, even my teacher.
We're spending too much money on education.
He's appointing communists to different positions in socialism.
Medicare and Social Security and Medicaid, do you think that's got to be on the table for
No, sir. All that's unconstitutional and all that's socialistic.
All the czars that he picked are all either communists or socialists.
The only good communist is a dead communist. Got it? I say death to the commies. You get it? Death to the commies. Are you a commie? Are you a commie? No. Then stay alive. Else you'll be dead. Now get out of here. Get out of here before I wrap you up with this flag and throw you into the river.
Our president doesn't have the same feelings about American exceptionalism that we do.
What we want is to get back to the way our country was 100 years ago.
Everything needs to be privatized.
We're not going to be pushed over. We lost the war. That's true. But we're not going to be pushed around. We're not going to back down from what we believe.
I don't think he understands America.
Build a great, big, large fence, 150 or 100 mile long. Put all the lesbians in there. Fly over and drop some food. Do the same thing with the queers and the homosexuals. And have that fence electrified till they can't get out. Feed them, and you know what? In a few years, they'll die out. Who you going to vote for? I ain't going to vote for a baby killer and a homosexual lover.
I hope there's enough Christians in the world to save us.
They're talking about bringing prayer back into schools.
There's gays and there's working people.
We do not believe our president is a Christian.
We're going to fight it. We're going to fight the immorality. We're going to let this world know there is only one God. There's only one way to heaven. And you better sit up and you better take notice and you better start listening.
Because this country was founded on Judeo-Christian values.
It's God's country.
The Bible says God created the nations of the world and he created the peoples of the world. And he put the peoples of the world into their proper nations.
God blessed America. This land is fulfillment of God's prophecy through history and the Bible.
This president, I think, has exposed himself as a guy over and over and over again who has a deep-seated hatred for white people or the white culture.
Illegal aliens have taken your jobs.
I want to tell you something. A lot of you don't even belong here in the first place.
10 or 12 to the house.
Yeah.
They're just nasty people. We want them to take their sorry selves back to Mexico and stay out of our country.
How long will we have to pay for slavery?
How long we have to keep bailing them up before they find a job and take care of their family? The people on welfare trying to suck out the economy of this country, get a free house, a free car, free gasoline. They want it all because they think they deserve it. Well, in this country, you got to get a job.
No, it's not because he's black, because he's a half-breed. He's black too, but he's a half-breed.
He's too black to be president.
I don't feel like putting a black man in there. I ain't prejudiced or nothing.
You better watch. He's on the nigger side too. You better admit it.
The movement is just growing bigger and bigger, and I'm sure glad I'm not a nigger.
How do you feel about black folks?
I don't need them. The Mexicans, we don't need them either. They're like a plague all over the United States and multiplying like rats. The Jews ought to be annihilated. Hitler tried to do that, but the United States stopped him, which was crazy. He had it going on.
Then Jesus would have come back from the dead and made the Jews pay for what they did.
They're the enemy.
Who's the enemy?
Obama!
We need to defeat these bastards. We need to wipe them out.
We need to ride into that battlefield and chop their heads off. If Barack Obama becomes the president in November again, I will either be dead or in jail by this time next year.
Come here and tell him about cutting his head off and stuff. She didn't.
Cutting his head off?
Yeah.
As a suggestion that somebody knock off Obama. Well, both we could.
Talk about how you really feel.
Faces life in prison, charged with attempting to assassinate President Barack Obama.
There's a lot of good things that the media won't tell you about unless you're watching Fox News.
Most of my news, Fox News.
I watch Fox News and I read several sites on the internet.
Most of your news.
Fox. Fox News. I believe I can trust them.
Where do you get most of your news?
You can't get it in the media because they're part of the problem.
So where do you get it?
From my neighbor. He gets it off the computer.
I don't want a revolution. I don't want a civil war. I would hate for that to happen. But it is a possibility. It's there as an option, as a last resort, should our government turn on its own people.
And Romney gets up to the microphone, it's his turn to speak, and he test drives that line about nobody has ever had to ask to see his birth certificate. You're going to love it.
I don't agree with all the people who support me. My guess is they don't all agree with everything I believe in. But I need to get 50.1% or more. And I'm appreciative to have the help of a lot of good people. A lot of good people. A lot of good people. A lot of good people.
We live in a world where hate seems to rule the day, and there's so much strife and contentiousness and conflict.
In an age where bullying is so prevalent, where people are told that they're less than because of who they love or how they believe, it is vital that we have a ministry that can reach beyond Dallas and Fort Worth.
I think our church has an important message, and it needs to be heard.
Through our media ministry, this church has historically been a national church. One of the early visions of this church was to be the national church for the LGBTQ community and our allies and people of progressive faith.
This is the work of God, and it's not to be kept, it's to be shared, and so share it liberally.
We have statistics that show us that the #1 part of our website that's visited are the worship services. You know, it can be cliche to talk about the fact that we are hope in the world, but we have evidence of that. We have people that tell us that we are the hope that they needed in some of the darkest times of their lives.
I really do believe that the message that we have to share, that you are loved beyond your wildest imagination by the God who created you, exactly as you are. I really do believe that message can change the world. And I really do believe somewhere, sometime, someone will hear that message and the world will be a better place because of it.
I'm living proof that we need a media ministry. I was in a place of desperation, and I knew that when I discovered the word of hope found through our media ministry, I knew that it was going to be okay.
I Googled gay Christian and immediately found Cathedral of Hope's website. And after looking at the website and viewing several of the services online, I decided to fly here to Dallas to attend a service. What touched me is that I could feel God's presence here just as much as any church that I grew up in. I then returned to Minnesota and watched the weekly services online, which helped me through my coming out and my reconciling of my faith. I honestly don't know where I'd be today without the TV ministry of the church. I am standing here because of you. Your giving changed my life.
So we have this dream to raise this money to upgrade our media equipment so we can maintain the message of hope and share that with people all over the world.
We've tried to help people understand that the media ministry is in risk of going dark.
It is true that the equipment and wiring that we are using has been in this church since the congregation moved into this building in the early 90s. And I think our media people would tell you that they know and have invested in duct tape because of how we have had to piece things together. Our situation has improved immensely because of an anonymous gift that has been given to our church that allows us to pay for hundreds of thousands of dollars in equipment that we wouldn't otherwise be able to afford. We are still needing help and still needing to raise probably another $150,000 to complete the project. You know, we're a large membership church, and a lot of people think we have a lot of money sitting around, but the truth is that this church has always spent the money it's been given to make a difference in people's lives. So we don't have these huge endowments and deep pockets to just fund the upgrade of this equipment. But I'm convinced that God will give us what we need to do the work God is calling us to do, and that there will be people of goodwill who share our dream and share our hope and want this message of hope to be shared with others.
We're a church that has in our vision statement to reclaim Christianity. This is no small task. And without a media ministry, without the outreach that we're able to do, none of that would be possible. It's a tall order, but if any church can do it, it's ours.
We have a responsibility to speak that truth into the universe every chance we get. I know that's a big dream, but it's a worthy dream to save the lives and souls of those who are struggling.
Good evening, and let me express my deep honor and pleasure at being here. I want to thank Director General Tokayev and Ms. Wyden, along with other ministers, ambassadors, excellencies, and UN partners. This weekend, we will celebrate Human Rights Day, the anniversary of one of the great accomplishments of the last century. Beginning in 1947, delegates from 6 continents devoted themselves to drafting a declaration that would enshrine the fundamental rights and freedoms of people everywhere. In the aftermath of World War II, many nations pressed for a statement of this kind to help ensure that we would prevent future atrocities and protect the inherent humanity and dignity of all people. And so the delegates went to work. They discussed, they wrote, they revisited, revised, rewrote for thousands of hours. And they incorporated suggestions and revisions from governments, organizations, and individuals around the world. At 3 o'clock in the morning on December 10th, 1948, after nearly 2 years of drafting and one last long night of debate, the President of the UN General Assembly called for a vote on the final text. 48 nations voted in favor, 8 abstained, none dissented, and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights was adopted. It proclaims a simple, powerful idea. All human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. And with the Declaration, it was made clear that rights are not conferred by government. They are the birthright of all people. It does not matter what country we live in, who our leaders are, or even who we are. Because we are human, we therefore have rights. And because we have rights, governments are bound to protect them. In the 63 years since the Declaration was adopted, many nations have made great progress in making human rights a human reality. Step by step, barriers that once prevented people from enjoying the full measure of liberty, the full experience of dignity, and the full benefits of humanity have fallen away. In many places, racist laws have been repealed. Legal and social practices that relegated women to second-class status have been abolished. The ability of religious minorities to practice their faith freely has been secured. In most cases, this progress was not easily won. People fought and organized and campaigned in public squares and private spaces to change not only laws but hearts and minds. And thanks to that work of generations, for millions of individuals whose lives were once narrowed by injustice, they are now able to live more freely and participate more fully in the political, economic, and social lives of their communities. Now, there is still, as you all know, much more to be done to secure that commitment, that reality and progress for all people. Today, I want to talk about the work we have left to do to protect one group of people whose human rights are still denied in too many parts of the world today. In many ways, they are an invisible minority. They are arrested, beaten, terrorized, even executed. Many are treated with contempt and violence by their fellow citizens, while authorities empowered to protect them look the other way, or too often even join in the abuse. They are denied opportunities to work and learn, driven from their homes and countries, and forced to suppress or deny who they are to protect themselves from harm. I am talking about gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender people, human beings born free and given, bestowed equality and dignity, who have a right to claim that, which is now one of the remaining human rights challenges of our time. I speak about this subject knowing that my own country's record on human rights for gay people is far from perfect. Until 2003, it was still a crime in parts of our country. Many LGBT Americans have endured violence and harassment in their own lives, and for some, including many young people, bullying and exclusion are daily experiences. So we, like all nations, have more work to do to protect human rights at home. Now, raising this issue, I know, is sensitive for many people, and that the obstacles standing in the way of protecting the human rights of LGBT people rest on deeply held personal, political, cultural, and religious beliefs. So I come here before you with respect, understanding, and humility. Even though progress on this front is not easy, we cannot delay acting. So in that spirit, I want to talk about the difficult and important issues we must address together to reach a global consensus that recognizes the human rights of LGBT citizens everywhere. The first issue goes to the heart of the matter. Some have suggested that Gay rights and human rights are separate and distinct, but in fact, they are one and the same. Now, of course, 60 years ago, the governments that drafted and passed the Universal Declaration of Human Rights were not thinking about how it applied to the LGBT community. They also weren't thinking about how it applied to indigenous people or children or people with disabilities or other marginalized groups. Yet in the past 60 years, we have come to recognize that members of these groups are entitled to the full measure of dignity and rights because, like all people, they share a common humanity. This recognition did not occur all at once. It evolved over time. And as it did, we understood that we were honoring rights that people always had, rather than creating new or special rights for them. Like being a woman, like being a racial, religious, tribal, or ethnic minority, being LGBT does not make you less human. And that is why gay rights are human rights and human rights are gay rights. It is a violation of human rights when people are beaten or killed because of their sexual orientation, or because they do not conform to cultural norms about how men and women should look or behave. It is a violation of human rights when governments declare it illegal to be gay, or allow those who harm gay people to go unpunished. It is a violation of human rights when lesbian or transgendered women are subjected to so-called corrective rape or forcibly subjected to hormone treatments, or when people are murdered after public calls for violence toward gays, or when they are forced to flee their nations and seek asylum in other lands to save their lives. And it is a violation of human rights when life-saving care is withheld from people because they are gay, or equal access to justice is denied to people because they are gay, or public spaces are out of bounds to people because they are gay. No matter what we look like, where we come from, or who we are all equally entitled to our human rights and dignity. The second issue is the question of whether homosexuality arises from a particular part of the world. Some seem to believe it is a Western phenomenon, and therefore people outside the West have grounds to reject it. Well, in reality, gay people are born into and belong to every society in the world. They are all ages, all races, all faiths. They are doctors and teachers, farmers and bankers, soldiers and athletes, and whether we know it or whether we acknowledge it, they are our family, our friends, and our neighbors. Being gay is not a Western invention. It is a human reality. And protecting the human rights of all people, gay or straight, is not something that only Western governments do. South Africa's constitution, written in the aftermath of apartheid, protects the equality of all citizens, including gay people. In Colombia and Argentina, the rights of gays are also legally protected. In Nepal, the Supreme Court has ruled that equal rights apply to LGBT citizens. The government of Mongolia has committed to pursue new legislation that will tackle anti-gay discrimination. Now, some worry that protecting the human rights of the LGBT community is a luxury that only wealthy nations can afford. But in fact, in all countries, there are costs to not protecting these rights. In both gay and straight lives lost to disease and violence, in the silencing of voices and views that would strengthen communities, in ideas never pursued by entrepreneurs who happen to be gay. Costs are incurred whenever any group is treated as lesser or the other, whether they are women, racial or religious minorities, or the LGBT. Former President Mogai of Botswana pointed out recently that for as long as LGBT people are kept in the shadows, there cannot be an effective public health program to tackle HIV and AIDS. Well, that holds true for other challenges as well. The third and perhaps most challenging issue arises when people cite religious or cultural values as a reason to violate or not to protect the human rights of LGBT citizens. This is not unlike the justification offered for violent practices toward women like honor killings, widow burning, or female genital mutilation. Some people still defend those practices as part of a cultural tradition, but violence toward women isn't cultural, it's criminal. Likewise with slavery, what was once justified as sanctioned by God is now properly reviled as an unconscionable violation of human rights. In each of these cases, we came to learn that no practice or tradition trumps the human rights that belong to all of us. And this holds true for inflicting violence on LGBT people, criminalizing their status or behavior, expelling them from their families and communities, or tacitly or explicitly accepting their killing. Of course, it bears noting that rarely are cultural and religious traditions and teachings actually in conflict with the protection of human rights. Indeed, our religion and our culture are sources of compassion and inspiration toward our fellow human beings. It was not only those who justified slavery who leaned on religion, it was also those who sought to abolish it. And let us keep in mind that our commitments to protect the freedom of religion and to defend the dignity of LGBT people emanate from a common source. For many of us, religious belief and practice is a vital source of meaning and identity and fundamental to who we are as people. And likewise, for most of us, the bonds of love and family that we forge are also vital sources of meaning and identity. And caring for others is an expression of what it means to be fully human. It is because the human experience is universal that human rights are universal and cut across all religions and cultures. The fourth issue is what history teaches us about how we make progress toward rights for all. Progress starts with honest discussion. Now, there are some who say and believe that all gay people are pedophiles, that homosexuality is a disease that can be caught or cured, or that gays recruit others to become gay. Well, these notions are simply not true. They are also unlikely to disappear if those who promote or accept them are dismissed out of hand rather than invited to share their fears and concerns. No one has ever abandoned a belief because he was forced to do so. Universal human rights include freedom of expression and freedom of belief, even if our words or beliefs denigrate the humanity of others. Yet while we are each free to believe whatever we choose, we cannot do whatever we choose, not in a world where we protect the human rights of all. Reaching understanding of these issues takes more than speech. It does take a conversation. In fact, it takes a constellation of conversations in places big and small, and it takes a willingness to see stark differences in belief as a reason to begin the conversation, not to avoid it. But progress comes from changes in laws. In many places, including my own country, legal protections have preceded, not followed, broader recognition of rights. Laws have a teaching effect. Laws that discriminate validate other kinds of discrimination. Laws that require equal protections reinforce the moral imperative of equality. And practically speaking, it is often the case that laws must change before fears about change dissipate. Many in my country thought that President Truman was making a grave error when he ordered the racial desegregation of our military. They argued that it would undermine unit cohesion. And it wasn't until he went ahead and did it that we saw how it strengthened our social fabric in ways even the supporters of the policy could not foresee. Likewise, some worried in my country that the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell would have a negative effect on our armed forces. Now the Marine Corps Commandant, who was one of the strongest voices against the repeal, says that his concerns were unfounded and that the Marines have embraced the change. Finally, progress comes from being willing to walk a mile in someone else's shoes. We need to ask ourselves, how would it feel if it were a crime to love the person I love? How would it feel to be discriminated against for something about myself that I cannot change? This challenge applies to all of us as we reflect upon deeply held beliefs, as we work to embrace tolerance and respect for the dignity of all persons, and as we engage humbly with those with whom we disagree in the hope of creating greater understanding. A fifth and final question is how we do our part to bring the world to embrace human rights for all people, including LGBT people. Yes, LGBT people must help lead this effort, as so many of you are. Their knowledge and experiences are invaluable, and their courage inspirational. We know the names of brave LGBT activists who have literally given their lives for this cause, and there are many more whose names we will never know. But often those who are denied rights are least empowered to bring about the changes they seek. Acting alone, minorities can never achieve the majorities necessary for political change. So when any part of humanity is sidelined, the rest of us cannot sit on the sidelines. Every time a barrier to progress has fallen, it has taken a cooperative effort from those on both sides of the barrier. In the fight for women's rights, the support of men remains crucial. The fight for racial equality has relied on contributions from people of all races. Combating Islamophobia or anti-Semitism is a task for people of all faiths, and the same is true with this struggle for equality. Conversely, when we see denials and abuses of human rights and fail to act, that sends the message to those deniers and abusers that they won't suffer any consequences for their actions, and so they carry on. But when we do act, we send a powerful moral message. Right here in Geneva, the international community acted this year to strengthen a global consensus around the human rights of LGBT people. At the Human Rights Council in March, 85 countries from all regions supported a statement calling for an end to criminalization and violence against people because of their sexual orientation and gender identity. At the following session of the Council in June, South Africa took the lead on a resolution about violence against LGBT people. The delegation from South Africa spoke eloquently about their own experience and struggle for human equality and its indivisibility. When the measure passed, it became the first ever UN resolution recognizing the human rights of gay people worldwide. In the Organization of American States this year, the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights created a unit on the rights of LGBT people, a step toward what we hope will be the creation of a special rapporteur. Now we must go further and work here and in every region of the world to galvanize more support for the human rights of the LGBT community. To the leaders of those countries where people are jailed, beaten, or executed for being gay, I ask you to consider this. Leadership, by definition, means being out in front of your people when it is called for. It means standing up for the dignity of all your citizens and persuading your people to do the same. It also means ensuring that all citizens are treated as equals under your laws. Because let me be clear, I am not saying that gay people can't or don't commit crimes. They can and they do, just like straight people. And when they do, they should be held accountable. But it should never be a crime to be gay. And to people of all nations, I say supporting human rights is your responsibility too. The lives of gay people are shaped not only by laws, but by the treatment they receive every day from their families, from their neighbors. Eleanor Roosevelt, who did so much to advance human rights worldwide, said that these rights begin in the small places close to home, the streets where people live, the schools they attend, the factories, farms, and offices where they work. These places are your domain. The actions you take, the ideals you advocate, can determine whether human rights flourish where you are. And finally, to LGBT men and women worldwide, let me say this. Wherever you live and whatever the circumstances of your life, whether you are connected to a network of support or feel isolated and vulnerable, please know that you are not alone. People around the globe are working hard to support you and to bring an end to the injustices and dangers you face. That is certainly true for my country, and you have an ally in the United States of America, and you have millions of friends among the American people. The Obama administration defends the human rights of LGBT people as part of our comprehensive human rights policy and as a priority of our foreign policy. In our embassies, our diplomats are raising concerns about specific cases and laws and working with a range of partners to strengthen human rights protections for all. In Washington, we have created a task force at the State Department to support and coordinate this work, and in the coming months we will provide every embassy with a toolkit to help improve their efforts. And we have created a program that offers emergency support to defenders of human rights for LGBT people. This morning, back in Washington, President Obama put into place the first U.S. government strategy dedicated to combating human rights abuses against LGBT persons abroad. Building on efforts already underway at the State Department and across the government, the President has directed all U.S. government agencies engaged overseas to combat the criminalization of LGBT status and conduct, to enhance efforts to protect vulnerable LGBT refugees and asylum seekers, to ensure that our foreign assistance promotes the protection of LGBT rights, to enlist international organizations in the fight against discrimination, and to respond swiftly to abuses against LGBT persons. I'm also pleased to announce that we are launching a new Global Equality Fund that will support the work of civil society organizations working on these issues around the world. This fund will help them record facts so they can target their advocacy, learn how to use the law as a tool, manage their budgets, train their staffs, and forge partnerships with women's organizations and other human rights groups. We have committed more than $3 million to start this fund, and we have hope that others will join us in supporting it. The women and men who advocate for human rights for the LGBT community in hostile places, some of whom are here today with us, are brave and dedicated and deserve all the help we can give them. We know the road ahead will not be easy. A great deal of work lies before us. But many of us have seen firsthand how quickly change can come. In our lifetimes, attitudes toward gay people in many places have been transformed. Many people, including myself, have experienced a deepening of our own convictions on this topic over the years, as we have devoted more thought to it, engaged in dialogues and debates, and established personal and professional relationships with people who are gay. This evolution is evident in many places. To highlight one example, the Delhi High Court decriminalized homosexuality in India 2 years ago, writing, and I quote, "If there is one tenet that can be said to be an underlying theme of the Indian Constitution, it is inclusiveness." There is little doubt in my mind that support for LGBT human rights will continue to climb. Because for many young people, this is simple. All people deserve to be treated with dignity and have their human rights respected, no matter who they are or whom they love. There is a phrase that people in the United States invoke when urging others to support human rights: be on the right side of history. The story of the United States is the story of a nation that has repeatedly grappled with intolerance and inequality. We fought a brutal civil war over slavery. People from coast to coast joined in campaigns to recognize the rights of women, indigenous peoples, racial minorities, children, people with disabilities, immigrants, workers, and on and on. And the march toward equality and justice has continued. Those who advocate for expanding the circle of human rights were and are on the right side of history, and history honors them. Those who tried to constrict human rights were wrong, and history reflects that as well. I know that the thoughts I've shared today involve questions on which opinions are still evolving. As it has happened so many times before, opinion will converge once again with the truth, the immutable truth, that all persons are created free and equal in dignity and rights. We are called once more to make real the words of the Universal Declaration. Let us answer that call. Let us be on the right side of history for our people, our nations, and future generations whose lives will be shaped by the work we do today. I come before you with great hope and confidence that no matter how long the road ahead, we will travel it successfully together. Thank you very much.
Madam Secretary.
Announcements by City Council members and staff regarding upcoming and recent events and recognition of citizens.
Now, Mr. Burns.
Yes, sir. Mayor, as you know, we're gathered here today in our pink shirts to bring awareness to the fight against breast cancer here in Fort Worth and across the globe. But tonight I ask my colleagues' indulgence in allowing me to use my announcement time to talk briefly about another issue that pulls at my heart. Ron, would you go ahead and run the parents of Asher Brown, who you can see above, complained to school officials in the Cypress Fairbanks ISD outside of Houston that their son was being bullied and harassed in school. The bullies called him faggot and queer. They shoved him, they punched him, and in spite of his parents' calls to counselors and principals, the harassment, intimidation, and threats continued. For years, it continued. A couple of weeks ago, after being bullied at school, Asher went home, found his father's gun, and shot himself in the head. His father found Asher dead when he came home from work. Asher was 13 years old. I'd like for you to look at his face. Unlike Asher, Indiana teen Billy Lucas, who never self-identified as gay, but was perceived to be by bullies who harassed him daily at the Greenberg Community High School. 3 weeks ago, he hung himself in his grandparents' barn. He was 15 years old. Minnesota 15-year-old Justin Auberg came out to friends at age 13, after which the harassment and bullying began. It grew as he moved from middle school to high school. When he found the harassment more than he could bear, he hung himself in his room and was found by his mother. Classmates started teasing and name-calling Seth Walsh in the 4th grade. It continued through his middle school years, where other students told him the world didn't need another queer and that he should, quote, go hang himself. On September 18th, after being threatened by a group of older teens, he went home, threw a noose around a tree branch, and he did just that. He hung himself in his backyard. His mother saw him, pulled him down. Seth survived on life support for 9 days before dying a couple of weeks ago. He was 13 years old. Teen bullying and suicide has reached an epidemic in our country, especially among gay and lesbian youth, those perceived to be gay, or kids who are just different. In recent weeks, New Jersey teen Tyler Clementi jumped off a bridge to his death after his roommate outed him on the internet. Rhode Island teen Raymond Chase hung himself in his dorm room. And we learned just yesterday of Oklahoma teen Zach Harrington, who killed himself after attending a city council meeting in Norman, Oklahoma, where speakers made disparaging anti-gay remarks. There is a conversation for the adults in this room and those watching to have, and we will have it, that this bullying and harassment in our schools must stop and that our schools must be a safe place to learn and to grow. It is never acceptable for us to be the cause of any child to feel unloved or worthless, and I am committed to being a part of that conversation. But tonight, I would like to talk to the 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17-year-olds at Paschal and at Arlington Heights and at Trimble Tech High Schools, or at Daggett and Rosemont Middle Schools, or any school in Fort Worth, or anywhere across the country, for that matter. I know that life can seem unbearable. I know that the people in your household or in your school may not understand you, and that they may even physically harm you. But I want you to know that it gets better. When I was 13, I was a skinny, lanky, awkward teen who had grown too tall too fast, who would stumble over my own feet. I was the son of a Methodist church pianist named Monett and a cowboy named fittingly Butch in Crowley, Texas. As their son and as a kid in a small town, there was a certain image of who I thought I was supposed to be. But as I entered adolescence, I started having feelings that I didn't understand and couldn't explain, but I knew they didn't mesh with the image of what I thought I was supposed to be. I was a sensitive kid, but friendly. I was a band dork. I played basketball, but not very well. I was teased like all kids, but I was fairly confident, and I didn't let it bother me much. One day when I was in the 9th grade, just starting Crowley High School, I was cornered after school by some older kids who roughed me up. They said that I was a faggot and that I should die and go to hell where I belonged. That erupted the fear that I had kept pushed down, that what I was beginning to feel on the inside must somehow be showing on the outside. Ashamed, humiliated, and confused, I went home. There must be something very wrong with me, I thought, something I could never let my family or anyone else know. I think I'm going to have too hard a time with the next couple of sentences that I wrote, and also I don't want my mother and father to bear the pain of having hear me say them. So I will just say, and I'll skip ahead, I have never told this story to anyone before tonight. Not my family, not my husband, not anyone. But the numerous suicides in recent days have upset me so much and have just torn at my heart. And even though there may be some political repercussions for telling my story, this story is not just for the adults who might choose or not choose to support me. This story is for the young people who might be holding that gun tonight, or the rope, or the pill bottle. You need to know that the story doesn't end where I didn't tell it on that unfortunate day. There is so much more. Yes, high school was difficult. Coming out was painful. But life got so much better for me. And I want to tell any teen who might see this, give yourself a chance to see just how much better life will get. And it will get better. You will get out of the household that doesn't accept you. You will get out of that high school, and you never have to deal with those jerks again if you don't want to. You will find and you will make new friends who will understand you, and life will get so much better. I look back and my life is full of so many happy memories that I wish I could share with those whose photos were shown up above earlier and those who have taken their lives. Memories that I wish I could share with the 13-year-old version of me on that very unfortunate day. If I could, I would take the 13-year-old me by the hand and take him to the campaign office in 1992 of then Governor Clinton, where for a very speechless moment, my now partner J.D. Engel and I saw each other for the first time. I would take that 13-year-old me to the first day of spring in 1999 on a West Texas ranch hilltop, surrounded by a dozen head of black Angus cattle who thought we were there to feed. And as the sun set, turning the sky pink and purple and orange in a way that only a West Texas sunset can, I jabbed my hands into my jeans pocket and pulled out 2 rings that I'd literally spent my last dollar on, and slipped one onto JD's hand and asked him to spend the rest of his life with me. I would take the 13-year-old Joel to election night in 2007 in a room filled with countless family and friends, erupting in cheers when it became clear that I would win my first election, so that they could see the love and support for me that was in the room that night. And I would take the 13-year-old me to just a few days ago at Baylor Hospital to see our dad. Our dad, who's no longer the 40-year-old tough cowboy that he was when I was 13, who I thought would never understand me, but is now the 67-year-old dad, still pretty tough cowboy, who has grown older. And the 13-year-old me would see me today holding my dad's weathered hand and see my dad as he woke up from his operation, and him squeeze my hand and look up at me and say, "Joel, I'm so glad you're here today." And me say back to my dad, "I am too, Daddy. I am too." To those who are feeling very alone tonight, please know that I understand how you feel, but things will get easier. Please stick around to make those happy memories for yourself. It may not seem like it tonight, but they will. And the attitudes of society will change. Please live long enough to be there to see it. And to the adults, the bullying and the harassment has to stop. We cannot look aside as life after life is tragically lost. If you need resources, please check out the trevorproject.org online. And you can call me and I will get you whatever resources you need. My number is 817-392-8809. I want to thank those in this room for allowing me this time. And to JD and the rest of my family, I'm sorry for you learning of this painful personal story in this public way for the first time. But know that I am able to tell it because of your love for me. And Mom and Dad, I'm alive today because you love me. Again, attitudes will change. Life will get better, and you will have a lifetime of happy memories if you just allow yourself and give yourself the time to make them. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a 10-minute recess and we'll get back to the agenda.